We're taking Jon Sherman's 4 Foundations of Golf to the golf course to find the 4 keys to lower golf scores. Here's what we're going to go over. If any of that looks good or calls to you, feel free to skip ahead to it and come back and watch the rest later. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Steve, come on down. Too many of us let bad shots, bad holes, and bad rounds ruin a good day of golf. Stop it. Our scores are always going to fluctuate on a scale, and if we're expecting to be on the low end of the scale every time we play, we're not going to be happy. We can't expect to always be down here, but we can expect to bring up here, down a little bit to here, and that's the goal. When we're working on our golf game, when we're working on our handicap, that's where we're going to see the biggest growth and the biggest improvement, is taking those bad scores and making them a little bit better. You have to remember that the game of golf, you're always climbing a steep mountain. Sometimes you're going to slip and fall back a little bit, and sometimes you're going to make strides forward. You keep this mindset, you don't get as mad when you fall back a little bit. Your golf game will be better, you'll have more fun out there, and you'll have a better personality. People will enjoy you more. I went a little left to target, but we're going to be just fine. Sherman talks about how there's 3 aspects to your golf game. There's your tee shots, your approach shots, and your finesse shots. He says you're never going to have all 3 of those doing what you want them to do. If you can get 2 out of 3 going, you're likely to have a really good round. You can bogey about 40% of your holes without any birdies and still break 80. Think about that. Almost half the holes you play, you can bogey, and without any birdies, you can still break 80. We're making golf way harder than it has to be. Don't be afraid of bogeys, you're gonna get them. So if your tee shots aren't going great, that's fine. As long as your approach and your finesse is going. You're hitting great tee shots, but your approach isn't great, it's okay. Hit some good wedge shots and putts and you'll be fine. Manage the thing that's struggling and don't let it get out of control, leading to OB shots and penalties and hazards. That's where the trouble lies. And there's an example of approach game not going well. I hit a bad wedge shot, I caught it pretty fat. That's okay, I play a good finesse shot and I can still get a par. Even if I don't get a par, a 2-putt bogey is not a problem here. Like I say, bogey 40% of your holes, you can still break 80. So far, it looks like I have 0 out of 2 aspects of my game in play, and that happens. The important thing is not to get upset and to work with what you have that day. Let's see how the putter goes. We got 11 paces uphill. It's gonna break to the left a little bit. The pros miss it more than they make it from 8 feet. What you see on TV is a highlight reel. So if you have 8 feet or longer, just get the 2-putt and get out of there happy. Despite a lot of bad shots, we got a bogey on this hole. That's a win. What is a good shot? Well, that's a dumb question. What I'm trying to say is your shot dispersion off the tee is a lot wider than you think or anticipate it is. The secret is to know that shot dispersion and aim in a place where anywhere in that shot dispersion isn't going to get you into trouble. Perfect line, just shy of the green. Jon Sherman says one of the fastest ways to improve your game and your scores is to hit more greens in regulation. He said putts per hole, fairways hit, those stats can be very misleading, but if you can consistently hit greens in regulation, your scores will drop. And that's because learning how to avoid 3 putts isn't a very difficult task. Most people can do that with the right kind of targeted practice, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But if you can learn to hit a lot of greens in regulation, you're going to see a big difference in your scores. Now, the tool that's worked best for me to get more greens in regulation is Ben Hogan's 5 lessons, and I've got a video on that right here you can watch that'll really help you start to get better ball striking skills down. We gave ourselves a shot. Now, if you can get your mind taken off swing mechanics and more focus on strategy and course management, that's a great way to lower your scores because it turns you from being the gambler to being the casino. Everybody knows the house always wins, so knowing what you need to do to avoid trouble makes having a perfect swing a lot less important. Not a bad putt. Bogey bogey. It's not a perfect start, but it's a fine start, especially for a 200-yard par 3. We're never going to complain about a bogey on a 200-yard par 3. Now, the easiest way to avoid double bogeys is to have a plan when you get to the course and to stick to that plan. Birdies should not be something you strive for. They should be a bonus that happens when you get a good shot. Avoiding double bogeys is a much more efficient way to make sure that you're keeping the score in the range that you want it. If you start chasing a lot of birdies, what you're going to find are a lot of snowmen. And speaking of snowmen, if your mind is focused on numbers and what shot you want to get on this hole or on this round, that's not the way to score your best golf. Each individual shot should be treated as its own entity. You should focus on that shot without considering where you're at on the hole or what you want to score on the hole. Look at the task at hand. Here's my ball, here's the layout. Now, that being said, you want to think of what your habits have been that round so that you can make adjustments to not do it again. You want to focus on what the ball does and adjust your swing accordingly. So first tee, my ball started straight, which means I had a square face, and then it sliced to the right like crazy, which means I had an out to in path. So this shot, I want to do the face like I did. Don't try to change my face because it started square, but what I need to do is fix my club path so it's more neutral or even slightly into out. That's going to be our mental focus on this shot here. Laser straight down the middle of the fairway. I made that swing path adjustment and the ball did what I wanted it to. That's exactly what we want to see. Now, one of the things Jon Sherman talks about is being a one-trick pony. You shouldn't see a dog leg right and do a fade, dog leg left, do a draw. Don't try to change your shots for every situation. Have a shot that you can trust and make that shot work in whatever situation you're in. That's going to lower your scores a lot as well. Sherman also talks a lot about laying up. Some people teach, hey, if you're more comfortable with a full wedge, take it to 100 yards instead of 50 or 60 yards. Jon says there's a lot of data showing this is a bad idea. The closer you can get the ball to the hole, the closer your next shot is going to be to the hole. There is a ton of evidence showing that. And if you're not comfortable hitting partial wedges or you don't know your distances, that's something that any idiot trying to get better at golf should know how to do. So freaking do it. Know your distances. You better know your distances. If you don't, you'll be eaten in your sleep. Sorry about that. You need to realize you're playing with a shotgun, not a sniper rifle. Aim your shot where the ball could go, not necessarily where you want it to go. And make sure you're aiming where that total dispersion, no matter where it lands within that dispersion, is going to be a safe shot. Okay, we've left ourselves 130 yards to the hole. I'm going to aim to go a little long of that to make sure I get it on the green. And we got our green in regulation. Let's go. All right, this is the hardest hole on the course, and I've put myself in prime position to have a look at birdie, but if not, should be able to at least pull in a par. Parski, everything but the birdie. Let's go. Okay, our last tee shot went really well because we adjusted based on what we found on the first tee shot. So now we want to trust what we did on that last one and do it again. We still want to pay attention to patterns. First shot went right, second shot went straight. Based on that information, we should be aiming left edge of the fairway. Pretty wide open here. If I hit it between 250 and 300, you could have some bad luck behind trees on either side, but other than that, it's green, smooth sailing. We're gonna aim left side of the fairway, replicate what we did on the last hole.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice easy fade down the middle. Advance the ball as far as possible while making sure the next shot has a clear look at the green. It will change your golf game. Advance the ball as far as possible while making sure your next shot has a clear look at the green. Clear look at the green to me means you're not in the sand, you don't have trees in the way, you're not in hazard, you don't have any issues. I've got sand at about 215 yards right now. I want to hit a club that's going to leave me just short of 215. My 5-wood's going to go beyond 215, so that's a risky move. My 4-iron almost never goes beyond that, so that's what I want to do is hit my 4-iron. All my irons have been coming left off of where I'm aiming, so I'm going to aim my 4-iron at that sand on the right. If it goes short of the sand, great. If it gets a draw, even better. Let's try it out. We're in prime attack position. Let's go. Talking about these greens in regulation, Sherman says the most common miss when you're going for greens in regulation is short. What a bunch of BS, right? Like Jon says, like Golf Sidekick says the most important thing is to get it on the green. If you find yourself short-sighted or having some obstacle in the way, don't try to get cute. Find the way to get it on the green so that you're putting. That's going to shave strokes. That's going to get you better scores. So when you're pitching or chipping, you don't need to get it to 5 to 10 feet every time. You just need to get the ball on the green. 2-putt bogeys are okay. Remember, you can bogey 40% of the time and still break 80. Don't make golf harder than it already is. Okay, we've got 40 yards again, and we've been leaving these ones short a little bit because the ball's wet, because it's cold out here. So we're gonna give it just a little extra mustard, and if it goes past the hole, that's okay. We're on the green. We're adjusting the conditions, the way we're swinging, the way the ball's going. Pay attention to that. You make the adjustments, and good things like that are going to happen. Quick cutaway here. I want to show you guys this cool board my wife got me. It's the top 50 publicly playable golf courses in the United States. Now, this company also has a version of this to play golf in every state in the United States. Check it out in the link in the description. Let's get back to Jon Sherman. Another really powerful tool is tracking using strokes gained. Instead of just telling you when you hit fairways or how many putts you hit, which isn't always the best information, it tells you how many shots it takes other people of your handicap to get in the hole from wherever you're at. Whether you're off the tee, whether you're behind a tree 200 yards out, it's gathered millions of shot stroke data, and it can tell you, oh, you did 0.2 strokes better than the average 10 handicap would do from this spot. It's really valuable insight, and it makes it really easy to see where the low-hanging fruit is for you to make your game better. So if you're not using strokes gained, you can get Arcos. Those have a monthly subscription. ShotScope is cool because it's a one-time fee. Or I use 18 Birdies Premium, which is $100 a year, and I can track strokes gained through that to help guide me. You can see on this chart kind of where my strokes gained are at. If you're serious about getting better, that's definitely a good thing to consider. Let's go make this birdie putt. As you can see here, good things happen when you're paying attention to your game. I noticed my wedge shots were coming up short, so I adjusted, hit a little harder, pin high, got 3 feet for birdie. I know it doesn't look like much, but this thing is a steep, steep side banker. It's by far not a gimme. Just don't make fun of me if I miss this putt. Wah, 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 wah. Now, all this course management that we're talking about is not going to do a lick of good unless we are able to strike the ball cleanly. So the next section, section 3 in Sherman's book, the third foundation is practice. He talks about how most of us when we go to the range are zombies. It's just blocks of the same shot over and over and over again. That's not going to help you improve your golf game. You need to add an element of randomness. That's going to make your practice more fun, and it's going to make it easier to convey what you're learning on the range onto the golf course so that you're more confident with your ball striking when you get to the course. And we all know, as seen by my lack of confidence on that 3-foot putt, confidence is an important part of the golf game. That is gorgeous. She dancing. Jon also talks about being proud of your good shots. I'm a good student. Almost all aspects of every golf swing vary from player to player. No two players swing the club exactly the same. So to try to swing it like a certain pro or like the pros is going to be kind of futile. It's not going to necessarily guarantee you good results. However, there is one consistency between all swings of good players, and that's impact. What is your club face doing at impact? Where on the club face are you hitting the ball? What is the path of your club going through the ball? And where are you hitting the ground? Those are 4 things you need to have mastered in order to play good golf. Not necessarily what your swing looks like, how big your backswing is, how much you're rotating your body. Those things can help and be beneficial, but the key to a good golf game is what are you doing at impact? So the way you can learn this information, first off, the direction your ball starts, that's where your club face was facing when you hit the ball. So that's easy to know if you were open, closed, or square. The way it moves after it starts, that tells you your swing path relative to the face. So when we talk out to in to out, we think of that in terms of neutral and where we were aiming. It's more beneficial to think of that in terms of relation to where the ball started, if that makes sense. I'll show you this diagram to help that make a little bit more sense. All right, 160-yard shot, and we put it 22 feet from the hole. Very happy about that. Jon Sherman talks about how the fastest way to correct the mistakes you're making on those ball strikes we were just talking about is exaggerate the correction. And if you overcorrect it on the range, that's no big deal. That's gonna help you start to feel what you're doing to cause the ball to do different things. Overcorrecting is a great way to get you on track to getting the ball to do what you want it to do. Come on down, come on down. We like these easy pars. This is great. Now, one other thing that all the pro swings have in common is tempo. They all have a 3-to-1 tempo. So what that means is your backswing is gonna go 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 3 beats to get to the top of your backswing, 1 beat to get to the bottom of your downswing. That's pretty universal throughout all the pros. You can find music with beats per minute that match the tempo you like best. A slower swing might be a 30 to 10 or 27 to 9. Then the faster swings could be 24 to 8, 21 to 7, or even 18 to 6. I'm in the 24 to 8, 21 to 7 range, but I got a list here of beats per minute that match those tempos, so you can download a playlist with that beats per minute to help you get in the groove to follow that tempo. A consistent tempo is going to be very beneficial to help you hit a consistent shot. Anything that you can add consistency to is going to benefit your game. So right here, we've got water on the left. To carry that water, we got to go 255. It's downhill. I'm confident I can do that the way that I've been swinging the driver today. So again, we know I've been tending to go a little bit to the right. So I'm going to hit a good drive aimed at the left edge of the fairway, and I'm going to keep my club face square, and I'm going to keep that in to out smooth swing path, take the ball where we want to go. Okay, that ball started on the line I wanted it to, and then it sliced hard. So my path was out to in relative to the face. So I need to, again, that's the same thing I did on the first hole. I need to make sure I'm dropping into the slot and getting more of an in to out swing path to fix that. Okay, we had a big miss right there. Maybe we were a little subconsciously worried about that lake I pointed out, but I can verify here, I carried it probably 265, 270. We had the downhill, we had the wind at our backs. If I would have gone out that confidently, granted 265, 270 with a big old fade, almost slice, straight would have been no problem at all. But at any rate, we're okay. There's no trees in our line. We've got 100 yards, 110 yards to the middle of the green. Like I say, greens in regulation is the most important thing we need to get good at. In order to do that, we need to have control of our club face. When you're practicing, practice leaving the club face open, practice leaving it closed, practice over closing it, and practice leaving it square. Recognize how each of these feel so that you can get the shots you want on command. When you have partial wedge distances, it's not hard to get good at this. Nobody's spending time practicing it. That's why they're not getting good at it. If you focus, and this is one exception when block practice really is a great idea, because just doing the same thing over and over to feel, what does a 60-yard shot feel like? What does an 80-yard shot feel like? Get to the point where you know you can execute that. It doesn't take a ton of time on the range, and it's going to have huge benefits to your game. Well, look at that. She stayed on the green for us. The skill gap between amateurs and pros is much smaller with short game and putting. Anybody can get close to the level of a pro with some practice. With the long game, drives and approach, that's a lot more difficult. Put in the time to get your putting really good. You shouldn't be 3-putting very much. You should be making most of your putts 5 feet and in. But don't expect to make putts 8 feet and longer. That's just not a reasonable expectation. So to make more putts inside of 8 feet, you need to be working on your mechanical skills and your setup. And to avoid 3 putts, you need to be working on your distance control. Do those 2 things and your putting game is going to be spectacular. I'm still working on it. Hit some water, hit some water.
Let's go.
Distance control suck, we still got our 2-putt. Now in terms of swing mechanics, you want to find one coach, one guide. Don't get lost trying to fix your swing and make it look like Adam Scott or Bryson DeChambeau. You got to cater the lessons to you. You got to find one coach with stuff that resonates with you and stick to that one coach. That's what's going to improve your game the fastest. Oh, that was bad. Sit down. Okay, we're well short of the sand. That works great. We're gonna have an easy chip and hopefully par it. If not, we'll get a bogey and we're fine with that too. Had too many swing thoughts there, and I was, I told you, oh, we might end up in the sand, but we'll deal with it if we do. That's okay. That's not a committed shot. The smart shot here would have been to play a club shorter, knowing you might catch the front of the green, but more likely you're gonna be a little short. You take the sand out of play, you trust your finesse in that situation, and good things will happen there. All right, let's move on. Jon says most training aids are a waste of time, a waste of effort, a waste of energy. There are 2 training aids that are beneficial for everyone, and that is foot spray, so you can see where on the face you're hitting the ball, and alignment sticks, so you can teach yourself to line up properly to your shots. A little weak, that's okay. All right, the final section of the book is about the mental game. It's about committing to enjoy the game, enjoy the journey of getting better. That's the first step. Otherwise, none of it's going to be worthwhile. You got to know how to have fun out here while working on getting better at golf. We all have insecurities out here about what our playing partners are going to think. We're all worried that, oh, they're going to judge us if I do something stupid or if I make a bad shot. That's just not the case. They're all worried about their own game. We're all here to support each other. Let's just go out there, play some good golf, and have some fun. We'll take our bogey and we'll move along. Nobody's going to judge you if you miss a 3-foot putt. A 2-footer? Maybe. Probably. No, I'm just kidding. Really, nobody cares. Just go out there and have fun. There's really no reason to worry about what happened on our last shot or what's going to happen on the next. Let's just be mindful and appreciative that we get to be out here on the golf course playing the greatest game ever created. There are things we can control on the course and things we cannot control. Beware of which ones you can control and which ones you can't control. Don't let the things you can't control bother you, or the things you can control. Just be aware of them so you can make adjustments like we have been doing throughout this round. So if we're serious about getting better at golf, it takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of determination. When you're having a bad day or a bad round, you can't check out. You gotta keep grinding, keep focusing, keep looking at what you can do better. Another thing Jon talks about is getting too emotional. This is true over bad shots and good shots. If you hit a terrible shot, don't let it ruin your round. It's just one shot. You know how to recover, you know how to get back into position. We've had several terrible shots today. Yeah, those were bad, but we got back into position, we're still grinding, we're still fighting, and we're playing a decent round of golf right now. Same goes with the good shots. You hit a good shot and you think, oh, I've got it figured out. I can do that every time. No, you can't. You can't hit a great shot every time. You're going to hit bad shots. That's part of the fun. All right, we got 110 into the flag. See if we can get a good full wedge shot in here. Looks pretty good. Well, it's very possible to care too much, and it's very possible to care too little. We got to find the balance where we're caring, we're engaged in the round the whole time. That's gonna lead to the best golf. It's gonna lead to the most enjoyable golf. You gotta care the right amount. And if you do that, all outcomes are gonna be good outcomes if you can apply them and look at them the right way. All right, let's see if we can sneak in a birdie here. We got 5 paces and we're breaking to the right. Woo! That's a good putt, we'll take it. We love the par skis. So what are you thinking about when you swing the golf club? There's 3 possibilities. The internal, which is, swing mechanics, body motions. These thoughts are best suited for practice sessions when you're making swing changes, when you're first learning the game. The next up is external. This is, what are you trying to accomplish? What's the goal? Where do you want that ball to go? These are great thoughts to enable your body to work athletically and let your body do what it knows how to do. The third is neutral thoughts, where they're kind of unrelated to the swing or the shot. It's a good way to relax the body for an experienced, skilled golfer. The last things Jon talks about in his book are your pre-shot routine, post-shot routine, and post-round routine. These create consistency. You want to be able to do the same thing pre-shot, replicate it every time. That gets your mind and your body in a state that you feel comfortable, that you know you can do what needs to be done. Pre-shot routine is to build confidence in your form, in your structure, in your swing. Post-shot routine is to analyze what you did so that you can use that information to make better choices and better shots in the future, like we did today. You're going to see cool things happen. I came out here on the back 9 at Davis Park today, and this is the best back 9 at Davis Park I've had in a couple of years. So these thoughts, when you're aware of them, when you're paying attention to them, they work. They're going to help you play better golf, and it feels pretty good. It's awesome. See if we can knock that sucker in. So with the pre-shot routine, Jon talks about 3 things, and that's analysis, rehearsal, and execution. Analysis, you're taking into account things like wind, elevation, lie, and distance. Rehearsal, you're visualizing the shot you want to hit and setting yourself up to do that. And execution is when you step across that imaginary line, committed to the shot, you know what you're going to do. You don't hesitate, you don't rethink things at that point. You just step through and you do it. Well, we had a lot of almost birdies today and still ended up with a great score. All right, so now the round's over. It's time to think about what we did good, what we did bad. Mentally, how were we there? Were we present? Were we focused? Did we care enough, but not too much? Emotionally, did we turn into that big green guy that nobody likes? Did we keep our cool? Did we play smart golf? Think about these things after the round. Think about, did you have fun during the round? If you didn't have fun, Was it your emotional state that stopped you from having fun? Was it the bad decisions you were making that stopped you from having fun? Think about those things, not only so you can play better golf next time, but so you can enjoy it more. If you're more focused right now on fixing your swing, this Ben Hogan video helped me like nothing ever has. My goal with this channel is to give people access to golf information they might not know about. If you like what I'm doing, let me know in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Let's go get it.